Hola, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So, for this episode, we will also be having another guest in the show. So, let me introduce you to him. He is an aspiring marketing, branding, content consultant that aims to help build brands that will last a lifetime. And he graduated from De La Salle University, Manila with a double degree in Bachelor of Science in Applied Economics and Bachelor of Science in Marketing Management. He was also a content specialist who created, wrote, and refined content from online and offline initiatives for Future Proof PH. Apart from his marketing career, for more than 15 years, he has been creating unique choreographies, competing in front of large audiences, and coaching different dance teams. In 2018, he represented the Philippines in the Hip Hop International Dance Championship held in Phoenix, Arizona, USA. He was also the leader of Skittles Crew, the original homegrown, independent Lasallian dance crew with over 150 plus performances and championships. He believes in the power of inspiration and collaboration as recipes for success and help move forward with businesses, dance, and life. Please meet Alex Centeno.
What's up, Mia? Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I am happy to share what I have, kung ano man yung mga
Mm-hmm.
experiences, and hopefully may makuha yung mga listeners from something from
Yeah.
me.
Great. Yeah, and we look forward to hearing valuable inputs from you and your experiences. So, for our topic for this episode, it's entitled How Your Passion Helped Shape You. So, to start off the podcast, I'd like to ask you the first question. So, how did you discover your passion?
What I do actually, isang passion ko is dance. So I actually dance a lot throughout college. People would know me as like the fat kid dancing in Yuchenko for the DLSU peeps listening out there. But I started out back in kindergarten. So sobrang bata ho. And we were tasked to dance YMCA. So baka mapa-age reveal doon. Pero yung YMCA was a dance na. YMCA. And from there, I started performing. So nag-perform ako in front of my dad. And then tuloy-tuloy siya na parang grade school, nag-dance club ako. I got to watch this film, uh, You Got Served. From there, I saw na, uy, may iba-ibang branch pala ng sayaw. Like, there's hip-hop, there's breakdance. Kasi dati, nung bata ako, syempre, ang alam lang natin is mga NSYNC, A1, kung ano yung nakikita natin ng music videos nun. But it got legit when I went to high school already. Sa high school naman, I entered INDAC or yung dance group namin sa Ateneo. And from there, doon ako namulat na there's this scene wherein hip-hop dancers are legit competing. So, pero merong competition doon, Skechers. From there, I got to meet a lot of mentors. And sa college naman is I got to be with Skittles Crew. So from there, outside college, I got into UPeeps, LMN, and I became also a Saints coach for a while. So, yun. Na-discover ko lang siya when I felt this joy of I enjoy what I do and it's bringing me closer to a lot of people. There's this joy na nakakapaggawa ko ng sayaw, na what I'm doing is making other people enjoy it as well. So yun yung rin, like when I'm performing and I see other people enjoying it, enjoying the craft, yun, dun siya parang mas nagbi-bring ng energy and fire to my passion.
Mm-hmm. So you can say that you were able to discover your passion in a way that through exposure, right?
Yes. So actually, hindi ko naman masasabi like my whole life I've been dancing. Like I've been in and out. So, even in grade school, may years na nag-boy scout ako, nag-chess club ako. So, it's not all dance. So, I can't say that my whole entire year or whole life, every year like sayaw ako. Even in high school, ayun nga, nag-boy scout rin ako, chess club, kung ano-ano mga ginagawa ko, like to explore whatever, nagbanda pa nga ako nun eh. But na-feel kong passion ko rin siya is like hindi siya nawawala. Like it's always there. It's always
Mm-hmm.
chasing me.
And you feel the
Like
joy whenever you do it. Like whenever
yes.
you dance, yeah.
So hindi ko siya actually hinahanap.
Mm-hmm.
Like hindi ko siya kind of weird. Like I didn't pray for me to be a dancer. Like I just
It
kept
just came
going through life.
naturally. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I was kind of blessed in the way that I figured out like, okay, this is something like I can be passionate about, which is dance.
Yeah, okay. So now we go to the next question. So the next question is, what are your experiences, good and bad, that you learned through your passion in terms of dancing?
And so even if it's your passion, it will always bring good and bad experiences. So one of the good experiences is actually back in 2018. I competed for the Hip Hop International at Arizona. So that was one of the best moments because I felt like I was representing the country. Ayun, it was surreal. Iba yung experience when I was there thinking na I'm doing this for the country. Na
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that dance would lead up to this. Sadly, hindi kami nanalo, but it was still a good experience. And syempre, throughout the years of me dancing, marami akong nakikilala mga tao na aside from dance, like connections rin, like other artists, the ways of how they think, you get to meet a lot of people and work with a lot of businesses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Na, for example, kailangan nila ng choreographer for a company and then, syempre, you get referred to another. And actually, this pandemic kind of weird na I got referred to be a choreographer for a wedding. So I made a choreography online and taught it.
It's via
And
Zoom then. Mm-hmm.
oh, Zoom
Okay.
lang rin. I recorded and I gave it out. But other good experiences actually is throughout the years na syempre it's your passion, it's your craft, you get to learn a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You get to learn a lot of vocabulary, knowledge, and wisdom about it. And you can apply how you think in your passion through other things. So, actually itong dance na gagamit ko siya when I do marketing. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
the same way when, for example, sa dance, for those who do dance, meron kasing 8 count. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yan. So yung 8 counts. So how we move around the 8 counts depends on time, speed, groove, and etc. Now, when I'm given the task na parang, okay, pag sa marketing naman, how will I make the copy? Ano yung klaseng approach dito? If it's the time, if it's the speed, anong klaseng ganyan? Like, ano yung magiging attack ko for the
Yeah.
copy, for the branding? So, it helps na even yung passion ko, it's not all about dance, pero how you can attribute it to other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
So, for example, ang ibang dancers lang rin is, even if we dance, some people think of it na parang praise siya. So, like, we're dancing to him. Even at
Mm.
competitions, we pray before competition and we just pray for the best and all. Lastly is when I was a coach for Saints ko, sobrang saya yung feeling na pinagdaanan mo through the years. Pwede mo siyang i-give back.
Mm.
So like nag-handle ako mga high school students. I was there in their shoes. So parang binibigyan ko sila ng motivation kasi most of them actually were doubting themselves. Na parang, am I doing this right? Should I be doing this? So ang sarap ng feeling na parang tinutulungan mo sila to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
So actually, that kindly reminded of me, of you. So back in Remix, you were that quiet person. And syempre, like, during that time na yung leader ako and I was coaching for us, parang ang iniisip ko, parang akong tatay na I have to take care of you guys. And siguro, always push you to your best or
Mhm.
kung ano yung pwede nyo makitang potential. Kasi yun rin eh. Minsan sa ibang tao, like, they don't see their potential, but other people,
Yeah. Yeah.
nakikita nila na parang, uy,
That's so
don't stop
true.
doubting yourself, man.
Yeah.
Stop doubting yourself.
It's like you're showing a mirror to them of
Mm.
them to see this is your potential and you didn't know because you can't see, right? So this is what I'm doing to help you. I'm showing you your potential and I'm here to help you cultivate that potential, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually yun rin like sa ibang mga tao, like in any passion or any kahit sa work nga eh, like you'll always need a mentor
Mm-hmm.
because that person can see your potential and actually see
Yeah.
na you make mistakes, it's part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have a great mentor, they'll lead you the way that parang sa akin, ang actually goal ko nung nagme-mentor ako or like when people ask me to teach them is I want them to be better than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yun
Yeah.
talaga.
Yeah.
Like, yun yung gusto kong maging goal na parang it's not that people would like to see me dance and like makita nila na I'm the best, but I want them to be the best.
Yeah.
Na parang pag ikaw yung sumayaw, kaya mo akong talunin, men. Like, yun yung goal ko. Like, sobrang saya ko pag ganun yung mangyari. So,
Mm.
sa lahat ng mga tinuturuan ko ng sayaw, yun yung parang goal ko at least na I want you guys to be better than me.
Wow,
And
that's
that will
nice.
give
Yeah.
that will actually give me joy
Mm-hmm.
talaga. Kasi ang sa akin is being a mentor, pushing you to the limit is better than pulling you down para yung
Mm.
mentor mo parati yung nasa taas. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
aside from the good, syempre we have to cover yung mga bad
Bad. Yeah.
experiences. Let's just say in college, it took me longer to finish my degree because I had to underload to balance both dance and my studies. It's
Yeah.
not that I don't prioritize my studies, it's just that I wanted to do both of them. And even if it took longer for me for my degree, I would say it's worth it. Syempre, when you're spending a lot of time with dance competitions, trainings for them, of course, you're gonna sacrifice some time away from your friends and family. So,
Mm-hmm.
even during college, hindi ko masyado nakakasama yung college barkada ko because I have a responsibility to be the leader of Skittles. I have to be there for the team. I have to be there for the dance family. And even though it was hard, I think it was worth it because the people I bonded with there, I think friends or like family for a lifetime. Like sobrang rami natin no na we can just message each other randomly and like
Yeah.
be okay to catch up. As a mentor, going back nga as a mentor, it's like you have to push people to their best. So actually meron akong isang masamang experience, I would say, yung
Mm.
last na remix ng Skittles. Hindi ako magko-compete but I was just coaching for the team.
Mm.
And one of my problems back then was none of them have the experience to compete. Meron kasi yung mga tao like, 'di ba, meron mental toughness na kailangan because you're gonna be competing. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna be under pressure.
Time constraints, probably.
Baka
Pressure of
ma-mental block
training.
ka.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's a lot. With the new team na binuo namin, like I had to be very strict and it was hard because sometimes the team couldn't see like what was my goal in doing. Parang feel nila pinapahirapan ko lang sila na, oh, ba't tayo nag-doings ng 30 times? Like, I know it sounds absurd, but there's a reason for it. And well, good enough is like some of the members, like after some time, like thanked me for it. Kasi nga, when they moved to other teams, parang sa kanila, mas naging sisiw yung mga nangyari doon. Kasi nga dun sa pinagdaanan nila dito. So, it's a little bit of a good and bad. Aside from like being a leader and a mentor is internally naman, I would say I question myself. Syempre, it's like thinking na, okay, nasa college ako, I have to finish my degree,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a part of me of saying, what if I just become a full-time coach? What if
Mm.
wishful thinking, maging choreographer ni Chris Brown or 'di ba, yung parang ganong mentality. But
Mm.
there's external pressure na parang iniisip mo na is there gonna be money? Can you live off of from it? It might just be because the hype of what's happening right now, baka hindi siya for long term. So, ang hirap rin to think of, should I stick my passion
Mhm.
the whole time and make it a career? But, ayun nga, like memorandum ko sa sarili ko is like, I am going to quit dance or like retire. Like, hindi ko siya bibigyan ng masyadong oras when I represent the Philippines already. So, it happened and so I retired. But, yun nga, parang hindi, ano eh, hindi nawawala. Through time, yung mga friends, families, like, they still talk to me and ask about it. Like, even yung mga skittles na nag-graduate na, namin nag-uusap, ganyan. Like, they still ask for help. And syempre, as someone na gusto kong tumulong, nandun pa rin ako.
Thank you for that answer, Alex. So, for the last question, how did your passion help you to be the person you are now?
For people who don't really dance, they see dance as like, okay, just move to the left,
Mhm.
move to the right. But once you get immersed in the community, once you get immersed in the culture, like people are really living off from this. Like not here in the Philippines, like
Mhm.
but in other countries, like it's a high paying job, like being a choreographer for K-pop groups, or for other artists and all. It made me realize that some people who belittle dance, we might be doing it as well to other aspects that we see it na parang, madali lang to eh. But it gives us a new lens that some people who see it as something that's hard, maybe because they already gave a lot of time to it and understood that, guys, this is not easy to do.
Mhm.
Like even bagets, even with graphic designers, like video editors, like it became a joke na ano lang yan eh. Lalagay mo lang yan eh.
Mm.
Tapos lagay mo na ng text, okay na yan. But they don't see like the years or the money that's spent to learn the craft na kaya ko nga siya kayang gawin in 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Because from the 10 years of experience, parang ganun siya.
Yeah.
And so, we should put that lens towards other things. Na parang, kung feel natin madali lang siya, it might be because we haven't gone through it yet. We haven't felt the pressures of that craft. We haven't felt the
Yeah.
pressures of maybe that work. And that's why we can't always say that's easy. And it will always be hard. Like nothing comes along easy. With your passion, if you're gonna pursue your passion, you can't pursue it alone. You have to find a community. You have to find
Yeah.
people around you that you can throw off ideas. Kasi
Mhm.
syempre, one person can only think so much. But
Mm.
if you have another choreographer with you, if you have another dancer to give their insights, like for example, ako, hip-hop dancer, and I got to get intact with a ballet dancer. Syempre, iba yung perspective namin or like attack with dance. And that helps collaboration into new creativity, new
Mhm.
inspiration.
Yeah.
So, ito rin with dance, it helped me be more creative. Kasi, given nga kung ano yung sinabi ko kanina, na it gives me new ways to attack with my marketing, it also gives me new ways to think of, like hypothetically, the world or like how we see um, as simple as games. Like pag naglalaro ako
Mhm.
ng games, like it makes you be more critical. It gives me a new way of thinking. And syempre, like going back nga na yung hirap na parang yung pag-iisip na pag-change block, yung ano yung choreography, anong klaseng moves gagawin dito is that I learned to be more accountable since I had to step up. I had to be a leader. And even if there were bad choices or like there were mistakes along the way, I have to be accountable for it.
Mhm.
And yun nga, like sometimes, syempre, as a leader, you can't always have you can't always do the good choice, but you just have to do the best choice. I also live by the quote of inspire yourself to inspire others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because a man with an action, when seen by other people, can move mountains.
Mm.
Like, it's different when you just talk, but when you do it and
Mm.
see and people see you doing it, it's different. That's why being accountable rin eh. It's like even if you're scared to be the leader, but people see that you're becoming the leader, they're gonna be inspired to follow you. They're gonna be inspired to be their own leaders.
Yeah. That's so
Because
true.
honestly, no, sa Skittles, I even told you guys and even the others, like, guys, I'm not really sure about this because this is my first time to handle two teams at the same time and have to think a lot for two teams. And yun, naging mahirap siya actually. But wala, kailangan eh. They have to be accountable for it eh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, like, we all have this 5, 6, 7, 8, and then something starts, right? Something sparks.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I get lazy, parang for example, when I wake up and I
Mm-hmm.
can't
Yeah.
get out of bed, like if I am sleeping and like, oh man, it's like 9 a.m. Maybe I could sleep for 1 hour more. But
Mm-hmm.
then a voice would say, get up. And so I say, okay, sige, tatayo na ako in 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, tapos ayun, tatayo na ako. So also with work, you just use 5, 6, 7, 8 as a push. So like I kind of primed myself or conditioned myself that whenever I say 5, 6, 7, 8, what goes after is action.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with what you said. And to add with what you've just shared, aside from me having dance as one of my passions, as well as you have mentioned before, being under your tutelage and your leadership, I've really learned a lot. And aside from having that passion, I also have another passion that I was able to also been exposed to athletics, especially in swimming. So before joined the Skittles crew, before I started being curious about what are my other passions, I was first and foremost was an athlete. I was a varsity swimmer since high school to college. So at that time, I didn't know what my passion was. All I know is that, okay, I'm part of the team and I have to go to training every morning and I have to do my best every single day. And then when I grew up, when I got older, I realized that swimming was not actually my passion, but sport itself. Sport at the same time, taking good care of your health, feeling strong, feeling not just physically strong, but rather mentally strong as well. So when I was a swimmer, I had to take care of my body. I had to take care of the pressure that was put on myself, of the coaches, that whenever there's competition day, like you mentioned earlier, there's that pressure whether you would deliver or not. But regardless of that, you're in that position to deliver, right? There's no other
Yes,
choice. You're already in that position. So you might either give it your best or not give anything at all, right? And at the same time,
I agree. I agree.
before you reach that competition day, or when you reach that point where you have to show what you've trained for, it took months or years, even just like you said earlier. It You have to prepare for months for just that one moment. So aside from health being my passion, I'm also passionate about helping others. Being able to give that value to others for them to be helped as well in terms of your knowledge, your experience, right? So in terms of the things that I've learned as an ex-athlete before, I wasn't very much gifted in that aspect in the aspect of swimming, but rather I was a bit leaning towards wanting to have that healthy lifestyle, especially now that we are in the pandemic. And now
Yeah,
we are just simply stuck at home and we have to make do with what we have. So it took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of intentionality. It took a lot of accountability. It took a lot of, seeing things from the long-term perspective. So those are the things that I got from my experience when I was in swimming. So in terms of that, it's just I I agree with you. You're able to also use that in whatever you're doing right now. Like for me, I'm also when I'm doing the podcast, I think long term. And I also become accountable to one of my friends whenever I do a podcast episode. Because whenever I do a podcast episode, I have to send her what I did to see that other perspective, that it's not just me who's saying this, but rather I want this episode to help other people. I want this episode to bring value to other people, not just me creating an episode just so I can put up an episode, but rather the reason why I do that is because I really want to help people, even if it's just one person, right? You know that feeling. If even if
Yes.
it's just one person that you're helping, and at the same time when that person tells you, you have no idea how much this means to me. It helped improve my life in a way that you cannot imagine possible. It just shows that your intentions are pure because you're after for the good of the other person.
The best way to move forward with your passion actually is to attribute it nga to other
Yeah.
aspects of your life. Passion doesn't necessarily have to be singing, dance, or like
Yeah.
talents, like would say. Some
Mm.
people, ang passion nila is like being a financial mentor or
Mm.
advisor. Like if you love doing it, and I would say the definition of being passionate is not only does it bring you joy, but joy to other people.
Mm.
Um, that's one. Second is if if it's something like for me, if it's something that itches you and you can't get away from it, it might be a calling for you to
Mhm.
do something about it. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to profit from it, but might be
Mm.
something that's itching from you that you have to do it. Maybe you have to draw, maybe slam poetry. It will depend on your calling because the having a passion is something that's luring you to do something even though you're not looking for it. And I
In a
think
way,
that's
you
the
have a
best way
strong
to,
desire for it, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time, with your passion, my passion, it just doesn't only shape us as individuals, but rather it also shapes other people. When you use that passion and use it again, like what you said, use it in different aspects of our lives. It could be cooking, it could be writing, it could be singing. It's just not that one aspect that you're only good at, but rather different aspects to it. It's just this, like for example, you in terms of dancing, that is the strongest desire that you have as compared to the other things that you do, such as marketing, content creation, branding. And same as me, my strongest passion right now as of the moment is podcasting. And ironically, I'm not gifted in a way in terms of, well, so I thought I'm not gifted in a way in terms of writing, in terms of speaking, but after much practice, after listening to that desire, that strong desire that's pulling me in to do this podcast, look at where the podcast is now. I'm not saying that you have to focus on just one aspect of you, but rather in terms of podcasting, it requires a lot of things that you have to be passionate about.
Mhm.
One of which, you have to be passionate about learning. You have to be passionate about being patient with yourself and patient with other people. You have to also be patient in terms of video editing, writing, speaking, practicing speaking every single day, reading. Oh my gosh, reading is one of the things that I use as a sleeping tool when I was younger. Because believe me, I was never good at reading, not until the pandemic happened and I had no choice. I really had to love the process. I have to have that passion of how can I give something to someone to help them if it doesn't start with me.
Malalaman mo talagang passion mo siya if your reason changes for the good. By good, I mean is, yun nga, going back na, do you enjoy doing it? And do you enjoy the idea of doing it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi if you're just doing it for other reasons, like for pride, for glory, for the fame, it can come up with it. Like, just it's better to think na it will be a bonus because of what you're doing. But I would say that your character will show once you become successful in your passion.
Yeah, and at the same time, right? In order for you to again discover your passion, you have to try different things. It's not just okay, I have a desire for this one aspect and I'm just going to focus on this, right? It's not about that, but rather you have to try different things in order for you to know what you are passionate about or what you are talented at, right? So how would you know that you are passionate about a certain thing if you don't try it out? Like for example, for me, again, going back to the podcast, when I started thinking about, okay, I have this desire to want to start a podcast. But first, I had self-doubts. I was thinking, but I'm not good at writing. I'm not good at speaking. I'm not even good at talking or doing interviews. I'm not also comfortable in terms of a social setting. Like in terms of the podcast, you have to be the one to host the podcast, right? Even when in the previous episodes I was the only one doing the episodes. I was the only one speaking, right? And that is a foreign thing for me to grasp because I had this struggle as well in terms of I stutter. When I record and I stutter, I have to repeat it again until I perfected it, right?
Mm.
So in that way, I had self-doubts before I started trying. I was filled with self-doubt. I was filled with thoughts of what ifs. And then what resonated with me with one of the things that you shared was act on it, right? Put action on the things that you think about, especially those you have strong desires over. Like again, in the podcast was I have thoughts, I have desires of wanting to start a podcast, and I also have self-doubts. I'm actually wasting my time just simply thinking about it. Why don't I just act? Why don't I just do it? I didn't know what are the steps how to create a podcast. I didn't know what's the best equipment to do a podcast. It's just I just tried writing. And at the same time, I also tried reading. When I read, I also verbalize. I also verbalize what I'm reading so that I'm able to practice how I'm going to pronounce certain words. Because again, I have a hard time speaking. I have a hard time, you know, enunciating certain words or sentences. If I can imagine that I'm able to simply also talk to the podcast for like 5 minutes straight or 10 minutes straight. At that time, I thought it was impossible, but after trying it out and loving the process, I started practicing. And again, going back to also what you mentioned, that passion is not always something that is the good times, something that you can get from, but rather what you give out, right? The sacrifices that you give to your passion, the time, the effort, your blood, sweat, and tears that you give out to your passion so that you're able to cultivate that craft for you to be better at it. So when you start realizing that the mundane part of what you're doing is something that you love, that is what helps you know that that is your passion. So to wrap up our podcast episode, I'd like to ask you one last question, and that is, what encouraging word or sentence would you want to share with those who are listening to the podcast right now?
It's never too late to start. Some people think just because you're way past what society would say na, oy, for example, in terms of dance, by the age of 40, dapat di ka na sumasayaw or what. I would say it's never too late to try. It's never too late to start because swear people who start late are inspiring, very very inspiring because they had the guts, they had the confidence to say na
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
can do this. Like I can still start doing this. And like back again, what I mentioned earlier is you have to inspire yourself in order to inspire others, because I see it as like a chain reaction, that one inspiration, one little tiny bit of speck of inspiration will help inspire others to do other things. So thank you, Mia, for having me on your podcast again. If you guys need any choreography needs for your team, or if you want me to choreograph for a song, may it be for your wedding, some sort, and you're okay with me teaching virtually, reach me at Alex Centeno _ IB. So I as in Indigo and B as in Bear, Alex Centeno _ IB. I'm on IG and TikTok. You can message me there. If you have any needs as well, or if you need advices on freestyle as well, I'd be happy to give it. Yeah, I'll be glad to help you in any way I can. Just message me.
Thank you for that, Alex. So, thank you everyone for listening to the podcast, and I hope that you gain a lot of insight and value from this episode. So, see you on the next episode. Bye.